Continue the sessions with sequence jobs. Now we'll go with activities, some other activities like start loop activity, end loop activity, and user variable activity. And we'll see one scenario. So first to start with start loop activity and loop activity. What purpose we do this start loop activity and end loop activity? Normally in this latest versions we have looping concept in the transformer. But in the initial versions of data stage, we don't have looping concept. So in that case, if we want to perform the loops process, we need to go with this start loop activity and end loop activity. How they do work we see now, and next we'll see some other part of the session. Okay, so here if you have general start loop activity triggers condition, triggers we discussed, but here we don't have more discussion, more to see the triggers condition. So the start loop activity we can loop it in two ways. One is loop way, and the other one is list of loop. You can browse a file. You can browse a file, or you can specify the file. So we can do using these options. Okay, but now in this case I don't have a file, I have a numeric value. How to run by default, I'll tell you. For example, I have a job which I want to make it to run for 3 times. So I want to run this transformer job for 3 times. So I called a job into this job 24, and in this job I'm going to call transformer job activity, and this job should run how many times? 3 times, exactly 3 times. So I'm compiling this job, and it is asking to save this job. Okay, here what I'll do, I'll make as start and start loop activity, end loop activity, and next I want to give the user variable activity even. User variable activities. So I want to discuss this in this job. And what is the job number I want to provide? 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth job. Then before we have seen some jobs. Okay. So now I'm giving compile, and I want to run. So when I want to run, I will go for the sequencer. So this job is running, and as well the start and loop user variable activity is even running. So this is a default concept of start loop activity and loop activity. Okay. So start loop activity and loop activity. How many times I have defined? 3 times. Step one from step one. From step 1 to 3 times. Now if I go for the activity, this job should run 3 times. So that is what I mentioned, and we'll see in this sequencer log. 3 times the job has scheduled. 3 times has job run. So this is about the start loop activity. And loop activity doesn't have anything. Just what will happen if you see this 2, 3 times or 5 times or 10 times, based on those many of the times completion of this job execution, it will throw an hint to start loop activity to stop the job loop, because it is already done whatever the loop we have. So that is a back end process. And loop activity, in order to give any uh, description or anything in order to do, just put end loop activity and out of the job, and give this link to start loop activity, so that end loop activity send a request to start loop activity to stop the job to execute after completion of the 2 number. So that is what end loop activity does. And start loop activity is to start a job and run for these many of times. It starts from step 1, step 2, step 1, and how many times. This is by default, we as a user, you define these values. So the 2 ways we can give the loop concept even. Okay. So numeric is my option as of now. So now this job ran for 3 times. But here I have a case where Maybe this loop activity, I cannot tell how many times should run. It should be automated. I cannot give the odd value as 10. In the looping transformer looping event, first of all, we had a job with the transformer looping concept. What we did, we have defined iteration to be four times, something like that we have given. The loop should happen four times. It is not here. I don't have looping. I have separately did in a separate job. Okay. So that job should that iteration should happen four times hard coded, but later I given with d count and all like that. We need to specify now. For example, I have a file, and in that file, if I have how many records, those many times that job should execute. So here I have a command. I'm going to provide a command in the execute command. In the execute command activity in the previous stage we have seen. We have given what? Uh, File name, sorry, wc-l, and the file name I'm providing. And the provided file name is loop.txt. So this is my file. And here I don't want to specify this. wc-l, and in this now I want to get the output. So how do I get an output means in every variable you can call the before variable activities output command output. So the output of that command, if you put here, you can execute the output of this wc-l code will come into this activity in the two condition. What you can do, you can run those many times of this job. We'll compile now and see whether it is going to run. So I compile job got aborted. Because why it's got aborted, we'll see. So it is giving 5, that's fine, that character should be fine. So here what happened, the output command output of execute command output is this. What happened here, the file path is even presenting, but what happened here in the start loop activity, I given execute a command output and we are doing numeric loop. So what is the error? See now, cannot execute it, loop final value not numeric because of this string whatever you are getting here. Okay, this is making a problem for us. So for that what I can do is we can execute the command in a such a way it should define like this. For example, cat file name pipe wc-l. How does the Unix commands work? From left to right. So cat will execute first and it will list out the file, and after this it will find out the wc-l, the find code. Now we will see whether it will work or not. Oh, again the job got aborted. Now we will see what happened. This is previous flow, previous run, and now we will see again. Okay, see now the output is 5, but it is saying loop value not numeric again. Means the space whatever it is getting, that may make a problem, I guess. You will see. Yeah, whatever the issue you are getting in the space we are getting. Okay, so the space value it is taking, and it is taking it as a numeric value. Okay, no, it's not a numeric value it is saying. So now to get this output to make it into a numeric exact value, what I'll do, I'll take a variable, a user variable activity which I am taking newly here. So this user variable activity, what we can do with this, you can define a new variable. So in this I'll give the loop number, loop count, the loop count. So in this loop count, what expression I can do? I want to convert this into I want to remove the spaces and everything, and I want to convert into a numeric. So I want to make, first of all, spaces I want to remove. So for that I'll use trim function. So this is one of the scenario where you can understand how much way you can use the transformer activities. Even here you can see, okay, activity variables you can use. So user variable activity. Now I want to convert that. In which way I want to convert that string value with spaces I'm getting, that I want to make it into numeric. So there is a option here, a field modifier, system variable activity, field modifier, which can take the spaces, means space I'm defining, taking that space define, take that space, and I want to convert that into term modifier, field modifier with spaces I want to remove, and then I want to convert that in the output of execute command activity. I want to make it here. So this is what the expression I want to provide. So I have did that. We'll see now this. So trim it converts, trim it will remove the spaces and convert a field modifier. Means it is converting a value which is in space into a numeric. So field modifier does into a numeric value. So execute command output value what I am getting. Now I need to call that user variable here, user variable activity loop count into this output condition, and now we'll see whether the execute command property will execute properly or not. This scenario will execute or not. Okay, it's running now. We'll see. Running. So total how many times this execute command activity is having, this file is having 5 records. Okay, that's what the output we had before, right? So still it is running, means it is executing properly only. The value whatever I require, that our value is coming properly, exactly. I hope so. That is the reason it is running. We'll see how many times. 5 times it should run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So 5 times it ran. That is the way we can use this loop activities. So now we'll see the output of how did that variable output execute command variable output how it executed. See exactly 5 it is coming. So because of this 5 exactly, then the command output is running properly. Okay, so the 5 we have converted. So we converted that into numeric, and that numeric category given to the start loop activity. So iteration 1 is happening. See, the one from 1 to step 1 I have given, but 2 I did not provide. I provided through a file name output, the execute command output. So 5 times it ran. So this is what a looping concept in the transformer, in the data stage, and in the transformer looping concept is not there before in the latest in the older versions. But we should do looping in this way before, but now we have transformer looping, so we can reduce the complexity of the sequencers in some topics of data stage. Okay, here you can loop this job for a number of times. That is also one process. Okay, and thanks for your time. And here user variable activity you need to understand, we can add any number of variables, and you need to perform some operations like this to convert exactly integer value or to some get an output of some variable and all like this. If you want, you can use this user variable activity. Okay, so we'll come with a new concept in the next scenario, next session. And thanks for watching this video. Thanks for your time.